And so it was like right at dusk, and we walked back through the woods through this field, and we were on the hill, and we all turned around at the same time, and there before us was this woman. And she was like, obviously I was only 8, but she was really tall and kind of transparent, wearing white. And there before us was this woman. And there before us was this woman.
Out across in the middle of the field, I saw somebody walking, and my whole attention went to this person because we're inside of a base. There's no one else but the Marines that are training here. And I'm staring, and I see this person walking. I start to make out that it's a lady, and she is dressed in white. And I did one of those, like, no way am I seeing this.
The history of our Earth is so different from what we can imagine.
Enjoy the journey.
The Smithsonian, that if they found out about a large skeleton somewhere, was to go get it.
I'm going to assume at least one person is right, because if one person's right, it busts the paradigm. It all goes back to the fallen cherub. And the problem with the modern day church, they have a very truncated view of the supernatural.
This backdrop that's just pregnant with all kinds of meaning associated with this Mount Hermon event.
Welcome to Blurry Creatures.
And this guy defects from the kingdom. That's a big deal.
See it. It'll come through at night. And there's a lot of accounts of these ghost ships. We're going to try something different this week with our members-only episode. We're going to throw in some clips from our last interview with Dr. Michael Heiser about ghosts and give context to some of the members' stories and accounts of seeing these things, which you'll hear on this episode. So yeah, enjoy. Yeah. It's just bizarre. And so Christians have I think a lot of Christians get off into the weeds when this sort of stuff starts happening. They don't, for whatever reason, they don't have any biblical explanation for these things. What are your take on the trauma loops? And like someone gets murdered and then their spirit is like on loop in that house or something because there's some trauma associated.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to parse things like that as again, a possible visitation of a deceased human. And again, what might be the providential
like justice?
Purpose? Justice, I think is a big theme, to get judgment for the person who did this. And again, maybe comfort for the family or closure for the family, something like this, that this might be in the picture. Again, we're guessing here, but again, in view of the fact that you often have these things happen to either bring comfort or have some positive outcome, be the result of it. And again, not just torment or horror or solicitation of worship or sacrifice, all the things that we associate with demonism. But it's none of these things. That would be the way I would parse something like that you have, again, providentially, this is a way that God can allow the two worlds to connect so that these things are pursued in terms of, like, let's just use justice for an example. Now, what I don't think we should do is I don't think we should solicit contact. I don't think this should turn us into Ghostbusters, for instance. And I'm going to go out there, I'm going to buy some electronic gadget now, and I'm going to go hunt for ghosts and try to solicit contact. We have no way of knowing whether this is a masquerade. Maybe it is a masquerade of an evil spirit to seduce us into pursuing contact and to our detriment or to our harm. So I think we are best off leaving these things up to the providence of God and not pursuing them, and just trying to parse them as best we can in light of some of these examples that we see in Scripture and other ancient texts.
Hey, welcome back to Blurry Creatures. This week we have a members-only episode for you about the women in white.
We've got a member-submitted story that we're going to bring Abby on. She's going to talk about something we haven't talked about yet, which specifically talked about yet, which is the woman in white phenomena. Mike Heiser touched on this very briefly, sort of just in passing, when we had our last episode with people have these experiences, and we've excited to break this down because this happens to people experience this in different places in the world, different places in the country, and we're getting a first-hand account that multiple people at the same time had. So it's going to be a fun one.
The white lady, or the woman in white, we're talking about that today. It's typically a female ghost. She dressed in all white and then has a similar garment, and people say they see her wearing the same things. And they're seen in rural areas associated with local legends of tragedy. You see them all over the world. It's not just like a North American thing. Lost or betrayed husband, fiance, suicide. Really strange phenomenon. We have a couple stories, but if you want to become a member of the show, go to blurrycreatures.com/members. We're going to have a couple interviews on this one. You can listen to this and so much more. We got new members episodes coming out like crazy lately. You also get access to tickets, chats, movie nights. We're going with trips. There's just all kinds of things. There's talks of another trip already. So if you're not a member of this show, you're missing out on the juice.
A lot of juice in the member zone. But yeah, check it out. It's a small monthly cost that really helps us keep this train rolling. And you get a lot on the other side, as Nate said. So extra episodes and all of the above. So we're grateful for everyone who supports the show. If you don't support the show and want to check it out, go to blurrycreatures.com/members and take a peruse. This is the way that we support the podcast and what we're doing here. And so again, we're grateful for all of our members out there. This is a fun episode coming up, and if you are not a member yet, go ahead and sign up, and you can listen to the full episode.
That's right. Don't let those perks disappear.
I'd say just slip through your fingers.
Well, the woman in white, what is she? What does she want? How tall is she? Well, we'll find out.
Coming up next.